Hey guys, on today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast, Jerry Seinfeld has just hinted that a Seinfeld reunion is in the works. Also, Sacha Cohen apparently is going to be in Ironheart. Is he going to be playing Mephisto? Inside Out 2. A lot of you forgot that was even coming, but apparently there are rumors going around that the first trailer could actually drop next month. Five Nights at Freddy's looks like a complete disaster, and if you weren't sure about that, they're not even lifting the review embargo until after the movie opens. Loki season 2 premiere draws record-setting numbers, being the second biggest opening of 2023. And Jason Momoa, according to Variety, is actually in talks to play Lobo in Superman Legacy. That and a whole bunch more. The John Campea Show podcast starts right now. Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming to you from right here in our quaint little studio, brought to you in part by our good friends at Mint Mobile. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, and all sorts of good stuff. Not just giving you our opinions, but giving you some information and context so you guys can form your own well-informed opinions, whether they're the same or maybe even different than ours. Joining me in studio today, we got the Brownie Man. Ray Ora's here.
Hello, everyone.
He made some brownies. My God, they are good.
They're so good.
They're so good. Jonathan Voico is here.
Those brownies come with some rules, I discovered.
Chris Carr is here
I still don't know what they are, but I've eaten two.
Freshly
You haven't
back.
broken any yet.
Okay, that's good.
By the way, freshly back. Many of you guys might notice that Chris wasn't here on Friday.
Yeah.
Freshly back from Amy Newman's wedding
Amy
in
Newman's
Vegas.
wedding.
How'd
Yes.
that all go?
Oh my gosh, stunningly beautiful. Of course, because it's Amy Newman. Her husband Eric looking wonderful as well. Such a fun time. We had a walktail hour, so we walked from the Flamingo where they got married over to their reception, and it was a blast.
The
so much
fact
fun
that
and
you
dancing.
made it,
No one got lost.
that's,
no one got lost.
yeah.
It was a miracle.
There's a movie called The Hangover. It's just like that.
I know. Well, I didn't go
just
to the
like
after
that.
party though, so shenanigans still
There
could have
you go.
happened. But
Well, most importantly, guys, you are here. Thanks so much for being here and making this show part of your day. Here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about all those topics that we listed off. And then this last part of the show, we're going to take your questions. Now, we're going to take questions from our beloved YouTube channel members who we ask to send in some topics every day. But also, if you guys have a thought or theory about anything we're talking about, go ahead and use the super chat feature and send it on in. And if your question or comment or theory is appropriate to be used on our show, we'll read it off and address it. All right. With that all down, guys, let's get things started here with this. You know, apparently there just might be a Seinfeld reunion. Reunions lately have been all the rage. What was it? Who and Grace?
Will and
Will and
Grace.
Grace.
Will and Grace?
Who and Grace?
Will and Grace.
Who and Grace? Will and Grace. We've got Frasier
Yeah.
has got the reunion thing going. It's been all the rage, right? Even X-Files had their, renewal show sort of thing. Well, one of the most popular shows of all time. I mean, you can't have a discussion with almost anybody about what's the greatest comedy show of all time. Somebody's going to mention Seinfeld in the top three. I mean, it's going to be really, really hard to have a conversation with anybody where Seinfeld is not going to be up there for a lot of people. My wife, Ann, has never seen an episode of Seinfeld and never heard any comedy from Seinfeld, but she heard me talking about how great he is, so she bought us tickets to go see him a while ago, and then we went to go see him again in Vegas. We've gone to a lot of live comedy shows. I've never seen my wife laugh so hard as when we were at Seinfeld. She goes, he's my favorite now, and he's not lost a step. Seinfeld is incredible. Well, apparently, recently, while doing a stand-up show, somebody in the audience, he took some questions, asked if they would ever go back and redo that awful series finale. Because as much as it's one of the greatest shows of all time, the series finale is one of the truly worst series finales in the history of TV. Well, Seinfeld decided to address that, and he said the following, this coming from Variety, where he said, something is going to happen that has to do with that ending. It hasn't happened yet, Seinfeld said to Big Cheers. Just what you were thinking about, Larry David and I have also been thinking about. So you'll see more than 76, get this number, more than 76 million people tuned in live for the finale, making it one of the most watched television broadcasts in history. before we get into what Jerry said, I want to just take a second and talk about that number. Because today in the streaming world, they'll puff and parade around, talk about we had 9 million views in the first 18 days
Yay.
or something like that. When Seinfeld was on, you either watched it or you missed it. 70, not over the course of the first 5 days, not over the course of the first week, not measured out by minutes. 76 million people tuned in to watch the finale
And
of
that's
Seinfeld.
still 30 million shy of the biggest finale.
Yep.
Because MASH was
Yep.
106
MASH
million.
was, I was going to say, MASH was the, oh man, that last shot too,
Yeah.
the goodbye shot.
I still get chills.
So good. Much better finale than Seinfeld was. But still,
Yeah.
we're talking Super Bowl numbers.
Yep.
That's the kind of power this show wielded. Now, look, I'll tell you what, I'm not big on the idea of reunions. I'm very curious to watch Frasier. The reviews for it has been really good, as a matter of fact, saying it's been way more charming than people thought it was going to be. So I'm looking forward to checking it out. But this is one I would watch again. Because much like my love of Supernatural, it's not about the story. I mean, Seinfeld was famously about what?
Nothing.
Nothing. That was the whole thing. This is a show about nothing. It kind of epitomizes that you tune on the TV because you want to hang out with these characters. These four awful people. These four terrible, terrible people in the show. And of course, it ends with them going to prison simply because they are terrible people, which is kind of funny in and of itself. But I would tune in to watch this. And if Larry David is involved, who of course was, one of the creators of Seinfeld with Jerry, I mean, sign me up. I hope this is exactly what he's alluding to because I would be dying to watch this. Anyway, Chris, I don't think we've ever talked about Seinfeld. Is Seinfeld a show you and Logan ever watched or anything like that? And what do you think about this?
I was a little younger, but I did watch it with my parents. And I remember watching the finale with them and my mom just saying over and over again, oh God, they're just awful. Oh God, they're just awful people. And it was this realization that she had been watching a show about terrible people this whole time. Right? Where I guess it just had not occurred to her until it was all done in a montage with them in prison. That's why I was very curious about this we're going to revisit this after that finale. And it makes sense to kind of right the wrongs of it. But also we have a very different audience nowadays too. You've had shows like, Always Sunny in Philadelphia or You're the Worst, where it is really diving into people with bad behavior, but often not in Always Sunny Philadelphia case, but in most shows, trying to find redeemable things about themselves and work on themselves and ultimately failing, which feels very relatable.
Schitt's Creek was very much like that.
Schitt's Creek did that too. And they did such a good job too of lampooning the right people, right?
Yeah.
Their whole thing was the small town people could not be these yokels who were bigoted and shitty. They had to be the kind, welcoming, accepting people who had their own picadillos, but they couldn't be the monsters that, Dan and Eugene could lean into every now and then if they wanted to. So I think this is the right time to do it. Like you were saying, it's really, really popular to reboot series right now, but I also think people enjoy watching people behaving badly.
And listen, and Seinfeld has remained in streaming, like still one of the highest things,
yeah.
like not on the top 5 anymore, but I mean, it's always like up there.
It's so quotable. It is one of the most quotable series of all time.
I mean, you like Master of Your Domain, the Soup Nazi.
Yada, yada, yada.
Yada, yada, yada. Exactly.
If someone
Serenity
was-
Now.
If someone was sponge-worthy. There's a whole bunch of stuff.
I stream
with-
Serenity Now like every day.
Serenity Now. It is now time for airing of the grievances. Anyway, yeah, I am super, super thrilled about this. I hope this actually does happen because I just think this guy's hilarious. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this, shall we? There have been rumors that Sacha Baron Cohen is going to be in the upcoming Marvel series Ironheart, if the show ever actually does air. Well, apparently now it's been confirmed, and that is the topic of today's Mint Mobile hotline question of the day. Listen, guys, if you've got a topic for our show and you want to hear your voice on our show, go ahead and call our Mint Mobile hotline anytime, 24 hours a day at 951-268-4259. Every day we pick out one or two, and today's is about Sacha Baron Cohen and Ironheart. Check it out.
I was just wondering if you saw that Sacha Baron Cohen has been officially listed as the mystery man in the report of the Ironheart cast. He's been long rumored for a while now to be possibly playing Mephisto, and with Anthony Ramos' character or villain having mystical powers, do you think him being listed in the show, could he possibly be playing Mephisto? How much do you believe that rumor? And if not, which characters do you think he could be playing in the show? Thanks. Love to hear your thoughts.
All right, Alan, thanks a lot for calling that in. And you know, it's funny because we were just talking about Ironheart, I think yesterday, where a report came out that it's been pushed to at least mid-2025 to come out. And to which I said, despite the fact that it's been shot, I have my doubts that the show's even going to come out. You know, after Bob Iger said that the MCU's become overcrowded, it's diluting the product and all that kind of stuff, I wonder if Ironheart, not to mention, I haven't heard a lot of people that got really excited about Riri Williams in, is it Williams? Is that Riri's last name?
Yeah.
In Black Panther Wakanda Forever. And so I just kind of thought, I don't know if this thing's ever going to come out. And here the next day, we're talking about Sacha Baron Cohen is going to be in this. This comes to us from the folks at CBR who wrote the following. Cohen is credited as, quote unquote, Mystery Man in a recent Ironheart copyright filing in the U.S. Copyright Office of Public Records System. Baron Cohen has been rumored to appear as Ironheart since October 2022, although Marvel has yet to officially confirm his involvement in the Disney Plus miniseries until now. The actor is expected to portray the villainous Mephisto in Ironheart, with Marvel seemingly using quote-unquote Mystery Man as a placeholder to hide the fact Baron Cohen is playing a major villain from the comics. All right, first of all, I gotta say this. Sacha Baron Cohen is more than Borat.
Yeah, I heard someone I saw someone in the chat say that.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, dude, he's amazing.
He is fantastic. He is an Academy Award nominated actor. He is absolutely wonderful. There's a reason why directors like Martin Scorsese work with the guy. Now, granted, Borat is freaking hilarious, but I mean, he is more than that, and he can be really quite exceptional. Actually, I really liked him in Les Mis as the innkeeper. Mm-hmm. I thought he was wonderful. It wasn't Helena Bonham Carter, the innkeeper's wife. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I love those two together in that. So mark me up as this is great. Even though I have very little interest in the Ironheart series, I have more interest in it than I do, say, in Echo. Not nearly as much as I do in Agatha, but having Sacha Baron Cohen in it is definitely something that'll raise your eyebrows. And it's like, okay. Now, ever since WandaVision came out, everything is Mephisto. Everything is Mephisto. It's going to be Mephisto. And then in the projects immediately coming after WandaVision, a lot of people, sometimes jokingly, sometimes not so jokingly, it's going to be Mephisto. Mephisto's going to be in this. Mephisto. Look, could I see a Sacha Baron Cohen playing Mephisto? Sure. Actually, now when you mention it, I don't know, there's a lot of people I would think before Sacha Baron Cohen to play it, he would be a great Mephisto. Here's the question I have, though. A Mephisto in something like a WandaVision? That makes sense to me. A Mephisto maybe popping up in a Doctor Strange. That could make sense to me. Mephisto even popping up in Agatha. That makes sense. I'm not quite sure what Mephisto has to do with Ironheart. Now, maybe there was a major storyline. Ironheart is a relatively young comic book character that's out there. So, I haven't really read up on Ironheart, so I don't know if maybe Mephisto had played a role in there or not. I'm like, but what does a science nerd making Tony Stark Iron Man-like armor have to do with Mephisto? I'm not really sure. So, number one, I love the idea of Sacha Baron Cohen being in it. Do I think he's going to be Mephisto? I have no evidence to say that he's not. I just have a hard time believing how that would make sense. I don't know, Chris, you hear about this. Number one, what do you think about Sacha Baron Cohen being in a Disney Plus series like this? And number two, I don't know, could it actually finally be Mephisto's time? What do you think?
I am thrilled to see him in Ironheart in 2035.
In 2035.
I am so excited about it. The casting of this makes sense to me, but I do love that every single website trait, etc., has just been Sacha Baron Cohen is in Ironheart. He definitely has to be Mephisto because he's credited as Mystery Man. And the only character who's ever been mysterious in Marvel is Mephisto. That's it. Now, there is precedence, though, for magic being in Ironheart. So, Dormammu was actually involved in some Ironheart stories.
That's right. I remember that, yeah.
So that could be who's replacing this, because we've also seen Dormammu as this big, huge entity dealing with Doctor Strange, who for all consideration has been dealt with, right? So maybe we are going to replace him with this different agent of chaos. And so I could see that kind of magical tie-in, and again, giving us some more big bads to build on throughout the Marvel universe and throughout the cinematic universe. That being said, it's Mephisto. So if he is them, he's going to show up as some other tertiary villain or obstacle for her for a while, right? He's going to be some evil senator that she has to deal with. He could be the armadillo for all I know. He could be one of those other villains who she's had to deal with, or the rhino. That'd be hilarious. But if he ultimately becomes Mephisto, I think that could work. It just has to make sense. And then you do have to make sure you find a really nice bridge to tie in the science to the magic, which the comics have always been able to find a way. And sure, sometimes it's in a very MacGuffin-y comic book way. But as long as they can make sense of that tie-in, I am all here for this.
All right, guys, let us know. What do you think? I love the idea of him being in it, though. I really do. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, I think if I had to talk about my most surprisingly delightful, fantastic Pixar film, it has to be Coco. Because that is one, quite frankly, I didn't think the trailers looked all that great, and I just fell in love with that movie. Up is another one of them. But right up there with movies that surprised me from Pixar was Inside Out. Inside Out, you know, on its surface is like, oh, okay, you got all these little characters that represent emotions. Okay, how very meta of you. Yeah, I mean, you had Amy Poehler in there. You had Lewis Black in there. I mean, so you had some names in there that I really liked. But, I mean, I didn't expect much from it. The first time I saw Inside Out, I don't know that there, literally, you hear this phrase all the time, but I don't know that there was a dry eye in the house. She has to feel sad. I mean, and everywhere I looked around, man, like the waterworks turned on. It is I always say that movies are experiential events. We go to movies for an emotional experience, different types of emotional experiences, thrills, horror, laughter, contemplation, anxiety, whatever. But this movie delivered an emotional experience, and it was delightful and funny. And one of the best lines ever, which ones are facts and which ones are opinions? People have a hard time deciphering between the two, telling the difference between the two. I just love it. And truly one of the most emotionally moving and satisfying endings of a film, a Pixar film, at least at any rate, ever. Now, not long ago, they surprised the world by saying they were doing a Inside Out 2. Now, lest you forget, Inside Out was a massive success, both critically and at the box office. The damn thing has a 98%. Not after 10 reviews, not after 20, like after all of them. A 98%. And the damn thing made over $850 million at the box office. For this little film that some people like me didn't give a lot of credit to when we first heard them talking about it. Well, a new one is coming. And you know what? I completely forgot, because in the back of my head, I'm thinking Inside Out 2, 2025, 2026. It's coming in like 7 months.
Whoa.
It's supposed to come out. And as a result, there's actually a report going around right now. It has not been confirmed by Pixar or Disney, but there's a report coming out right now that the first trailer for Inside Out is going to come out and play with Wish, I believe. Now, right now we're about 8 months away, but next month would be 7 months, right? Now look, not so long ago, 7-8 months in advance putting out your first trailer was kind of normal in Hollywood, and it was stupid. Hollywood has kind of learned their lessons now, and now we don't have as long drawn out things, at least most of the time. Now, a lot of trailers drop 3 months before a movie comes out, 4 months before a movie comes out. Some, every once in a while, one that's a little bit longer. But it's not like the old days where literally sometimes movies drop trailers like a year before the movie came out, which was completely pointless. 7 months is still a little bit early, but if it's like one of these 1 minute long, more like a introduction trailer, a little teaser trailer, to play it in front of something like Wish, a movie like this that's as beloved as it is would surely get a lot of people in the movie theaters excited before the movie even starts. So I don't know if this is true, but 7 months out, a little long, but not completely outside of the realm of possibility. Anyway, Chris, this movie is really sneaking up on us. We haven't talked much about it. It still seems very theoretical to me.
Yeah.
Do you think this movie could actually drop its first kind of trailer next month? What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I know we always go back here, but go back to CinemaCon. We saw an unfinished trailer for Paw Patrol in April.
That's right.
That movie just came out. So we can definitely see a quick little teaser of sorts, especially if it is either reused footage or we have some kind of just long skewing shots that are panning into like Riley's mind or something like that. You can do a real easy trailer for this. And I understand why they want us excited about this, because Pixar needs us to be excited about their movies.
Yeah, they do.
All right. Elemental, which thankfully found its legs eventually, was a fabulous movie, but at the beginning, no one cared about it. And it's because of how Disney's treated Pixar films in the past, dumping them on streaming, treating them like they're lesser, making sure that audiences know, hey, this maybe isn't one you want to go spend your money on and go see in theaters, even though these are fabulous quality movies. I mean, Inside Out won 2 Academy Awards. It won Best Animated Feature and it won Best Original Screenplay. So this is one where they can really capitalize on it, not only as, you know, this wonderful, great film that children liked, that families liked, but there's also prestige behind it too. So I can see why the studios would want us to get revved up and excited, especially after months of not really being able to promote things with stars. Hopefully that's going to end soon too. So then you just have Amy Poehler telling everybody how special this movie is.
And, you know, to your point too about the fact that Disney spent so long, I mean, at least Elemental started to get some momentum for Pixar again. I mean, because they really killed all of Pixar's prestige by dumping everything on streaming. And then when they did come back to theaters, they came back with Lightyear. And
which had such a strong 30 minutes.
It's a strong opening 30 minutes were great. If only that's where the movie ended. And then, like you said, right out of the gate, Elemental looked like it wasn't going to make $200 million. It really struggled out of the gate. And thankfully, word of mouth got out there that, hey, this is a really damn good movie. And it eventually had a little bit of a rush at the end. Let's see how that's going to lead us into the upcoming fair that they have. All right, guys, listen. We still need to talk about Five Nights at Freddy's. We still need to talk about the big numbers for Loki season 2 debut. And Jason Momoa apparently is in talks to play Lobo for Superman Legacy. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second and thank a couple of sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. Our friends, the most comfortable shoes I've ever worn at Vessi, and the wonderful folks over at BetterHelp. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Vessi. Now, you guys know I'm not exactly the most fashion conscious guy in the world, but I love a great pair of shoes that are comfortable and I can wear almost anywhere. And growing up in Canadian winters when my feet got wet a lot, waterproof would be nice too. Enter Vessi. They make the claim that they're not just fashionable and super comfortable, they're also waterproof. Now, you guys remember, when I got my first pair of Vessis, I put them to the ultimate waterproof test. I actually stuck my foot in my pool, my feet stayed dry, and the shoes stayed dry. Incredible. And they're the most comfortable pair of shoes I ever owned. Well, that made me want another pair. So I got another pair of Vessis that look great and just equal that world-class comfort that I got from that first pair of shoes. They are absolutely my favorite shoes that I've ever owned. Imagine your favorite sneaker style supercharged with waterproof technology and unmatched comfort. No matter how you like to stay active, Vessi has the shoes for you. Trail-ready high tops, effortless slip-ons, and classic court shoes, all with a waterproof twist. They are just as comfortable and stylish as your favorite sneakers, but even more versatile. So guys, if you're anything like me and you want the most comfortable pair of shoes that look great, that you can take out hiking, wear to work, go to the gym, or walk through the water and snow, go to vessi.com/Campea and get yourself a pair today. Go to vessi.com/Campea and get 15% off your order using the code Campea. Hey guys, we want to thank a sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp. You guys know that I've been saying for a long time that it's time for us to start prioritizing mental health in our lives. And if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. I've pointed this out many times, but we as adults know that we need to prioritize our physical health, and so we encourage each other and cheer each other on when we take steps for improving our physical health, like going to the gym. Well, it's time that we prioritize our mental health the same way. We need to encourage each other to take those steps and encourage ourselves to do that as well. So guys, take that step in prioritizing your mental health by going to BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Campea today and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Vessi and BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's keep on going here and we'll get into this. Apparently, Five Nights at Freddy's, great news, isn't releasing the review embargo until not the day of the movie, but until after the movie drops in theaters. Okay, look, there's a real interesting history here with Five Nights at Freddy's. First of all, the only video game I've ever played in my life that actually creeped me out, that actually made me turn the lights on. I felt so tense playing this game. I loved it. So when they announced that they were actually doing a Five Nights at Freddy movie, I got excited. When I found out that the Jim Henson Company was working on it with them, I got real excited. And then all that excitement went up in a ball of smoke when they announced, oh, we're going to be releasing it day and date on Peacock. It's like, oh yeah, I remember. Every time you do that, your movie is shit. Every time. And not that it's happened dozens of times, but it's happened a handful of times, and every time the movie's been garbage. So I instantly lost all my enthusiasm for the movie. At least, now let me rephrase. I lost any belief in the movie. There was still remaining some enthusiasm to see it because it's still Five Nights at Freddy's. Oh, but whatever scrap of optimism that may have still been there is now gone. This comes to us from The Direct, who wrote the following. According to Horror Movie News Insider Critical Overload on X, reviews for Five Nights at Freddy's will be released on Friday, October 27th at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 a.m. Pacific Time. Discussing films, Jacob Fisher confirmed with this information that it was, in fact, the exact time and date that the review embargo was up. This means that reviews for the film will be released days after the movie hits theaters in some territories like the United Kingdom and Mexico. But I would go one further. We, of course, know release days are Fridays, but we all know that when that's, movies coming out on Friday, November the 8th, that really means it's coming out Thursday, November 7th. So we all know that Thursday is when the movies come out, right? It has always been a big red flag when a studio has the review embargo not lifted until like the day before a movie comes out or heaven forbid, the day of a movie coming out. That's always been a bad sign because what that tells you is that, hey, the studios think their movie sucks and they know that the reviews are going to reflect that and they don't want people hearing how bad the movie is. Now, I need to point out, there have been a couple of exceptions of times when a movie's had a real late review embargo lifted and it still turned out pretty good. It has happened. It's just rare. Normally, when something like this happens, it's a big red flag. This goes one bit further because the movie's going to open in theaters and on Peacock on the same day, but in theaters on Thursday night. And the reviews still won't be out. Still won't be out. Guys, I'm sorry, but this is the studio trying to con you. Mm-hmm. This is the studio hiding stuff from you. Can you imagine if Apple released a new product and said, yeah, but the tech reviewers, you're not allowed to review the thing until after it goes on sale? Because we don't want people to hear that it's not good. We want to dupe people. We want to con people. We want to swindle people and not let them have the opportunity to hear some critical analysis of the film before you spend your money on it. It's not just a red flag. I'll go one step further. This is despicable behavior. Because this is literally a studio trying to con you out of your, not give you the opportunity. Guys, don't listen to anybody. Just listen to the millions of dollars that we put into a marketing campaign, and just listen to this finely crafted piece of propaganda that we've made to convince you to give us your money. Don't listen to anybody else. It's horrible. It's a horrible practice. Now listen, I say that. I haven't seen the movie yet. I may go in to watch this movie and I might have a great time. I know Ray's looking forward to it.
Oh, yeah.
He's like the trailers. You have liked the trailers though, right?
The last one, yeah. It was
the last trailer
was better.
Not terrible.
The first two were a little funny to me. They seemed it seemed very
Not Seinfeld funny.
it's very cute.
I mean, I'm seeing it because I have A-list, but that's the only reason really.
Yeah, and I will definitely be taking advantage of A-list when I go to see it. But I mean, the fact that they're not even letting the reviews come out until after the movie already is playing for public audiences in America and will have been playing for public audiences in other countries days before that. Guys, I'm just telling you, this is the studio screaming in your face that they have no belief in this movie. They just don't. I hate it. And this is why I hate this so much. And I say this all the time. As a consumer, as a movie fan, my response is, hey, studio, if you have no belief in your movie, why should I? What reason do I have to have any faith in this movie or any belief in this movie whatsoever? And I'm saying that as a guy who's been really excited about this film until they announced the day and date drop on Peacock. So anyway, Chris, you see this? We've seen late review embargoes. Not often we see review embargoes after the movie already comes out. Where's your excitement level right now for Five Nights at Freddy's?
Oh my gosh, it's subtorrential. I mean, it's so low. I can't even see it anymore. This was a horror movie that I was actually excited about seeing. I was actually really pumped about seeing this because I love Jim Henson stuff. The games are so messed up and very, very scary. And I love Josh. I think he's wonderful.
I do too. I think he's wonderful.
He's so great and he's so underrated. And I want him to do well things. He's just a little guy. I love him so much. He's wonderful. But when you date something, I lose all faith in it being a decent movie. And you brought up A-list. I don't even want to pay my 50-cent service fee at Regal when you do this to me.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay home and watch on Peacock because I have that because of wrestling.
No service fee on the A-list.
Yeah.
I can just go.
Oh, see, that's nice. I don't want any part of it then. And I can try to be altruistic and say, well, maybe, there's a really big twist or, the game
That's
had multiple.
always the excuse they give.
Exactly.
That's always the excuse.
Especially with horror, right? There's a huge twist in it. And with Five Nights at Freddy's, depending on what you did, you could have different endings. But I don't anticipate this being frickin' Clue where different theaters are playing different things. I think this just means this is a terrible movie. And that really bums me out because this looked so fun and so messed up. And now I think it's just going to be messed up in all the wrong ways.
And Blumhouse has been doing pretty well lately, I think, with the Black Phone. What else did they release? What did they release? No, that was Disney.
Here's the thing about Blumhouse.
Well, they did The Exorcist, which wasn't great.
Oh, right.
Blumhouse has put out a lot of bad stuff.
Right.
The thing is, they've also put out some really great stuff.
And they have those low budgets.
And they always do it for super low budget, right? Like, I can't remember again, what was Elizabeth Moss's The Invisible Man? Wasn't that $8 million?
Oh my gosh, it was made for nothing.
They made it for literally pocket change.
It was a MacGyver budget.
And it was wonderful. And that's the thing about Blumhouse, right? And that's the great thing about them. They will roll the dice. They will try these weird little projects. Some of them will be really bad.
The budget was $7 million.
On what?
The Invisible Man.
On The Invisible.
Oh my
$7 million. Like, for a lot of movies, that's your catering budget on a lot of movies. They did that movie for $7 million. They are great, but not everything they do is great. So, I don't know, guys. I think this thing is shaping up to be a real freaking car wreck. But we'll see. I just wish the studio would show some more confidence in it. Say, you know what? We're giving it a real theatrical release. You know what? We're lifting the review embargo. It doesn't have to be 2 weeks in advance. We're going to lift the review embargo 4 days before the movie comes out. We believe in this film. Just because, listen, even if other critics don't like the movie, that's fine. But you told me that you believe in it. And that's important to me as a consumer. And they're just not doing that.
And not only that, it's a great time to release this movie. It's
Yes, it
Halloween.
is.
People want to go theaters to watch something scary or dumb scary. It doesn't matter.
August isn't the date for that? Like Haunted Mansion? You don't do that in August?
Yeah.
Oh.
You know, when it's 105 degrees out and you're like, I want to put on a sweater, drink cider, and watch Haunted Mansion.
All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You guys know that last week, Loki Season 2 made its debut with its first episode, and I thought it was delightful. And that's coming from somebody that was not thrilled with Loki Season 1. I thought the debut episode was great. You guys know I gave this list of 5 things that I thought they needed to kind of do, and they checked all the boxes. They did all of it. I'm super thrilled with it so far. Well, apparently, a lot of people tuned in to see it, as it has become the second biggest debut of 2023 for Disney+. This comes to us from Deadline, who wrote the following. The God of Mischief is taking over Disney Plus once again. Loki Season 2 debuted on Thursday, tallying 10.9 global views in its first 3 days on the platform. That makes it Disney Plus's second most watched season premiere of the year, coming in behind March's Season 3 premiere of The Mandalorian. This makes sense considering Loki was one of Marvel's most successful Disney Plus series from the get-go. It was the first of them to get a second season, and as of May 2022, it was still held the most watched Marvel series on Disney Plus to date. So, when you look at all the high-profile stuff that has come out on Disney Plus, Loki coming out only behind Mandalorian Season 3, Mandalorian, which was an uber popular thing. Granted, Season 3 debuted lower than what they had hoped, but still, that was the biggest thing debuting on Disney Plus this year. Loki comes in second place behind that with some really, really strong, solid numbers. I think if Season 1 had been a bit better, it may have been the number 1 debut of 2023. I think there was some people a little bit questionable about it. I also think if Secret Invasion had been a little bit better, more people would have tuned in to watch Loki. There is consequences to putting out crappy stuff. And I think, the dissatisfaction a lot of people had with Secret Invasion has probably led to this, but still strong numbers for Loki. And here's the important thing. And this is where the benefit of week-to-week releases come. Instead of dropping the whole series at once like Netflix would do, and having some people having decided to tune out, maybe because of Secret Invasion, maybe because of She-Hulk, maybe because of some other thing like that, and just not check out the series. They drop one episode, word got out that it was really quite good, so other people are going to go back and watch it in the subsequent weeks and then start getting caught up with episodes 2, 3, and 4. And I think, I might be wrong, but I think we're going to see the viewership go up, provided episode 2 and 3 and 4 continue to be strong. But I think you're going to see in episode 2 that has higher viewership than episode 1 did. And that doesn't always happen with these shows, but I think it's going to happen here. Anyway, Chris, you heard this number. Does this surprise you that it had this big of a response? Do you think it was maybe going to come in further behind a couple of other series? Are you surprised it didn't get number 1? What did you think about the premiere?
This is pretty much on the money for me. This is pretty close for everything. Because, well, one, I don't know what it's competing with too much of right now, aside from The Boys, which the timing works out really nicely, right? Not The Boys, Gen V. Excuse me.
Gen V. Mm-hmm.
Love Gen V.
I still need to watch more of it.
Are they both Wednesdays?
I'm not there. Yeah, they both release at
So that's your palate cleanser.
On Thursdays, they both come out on
Yeah,
Thursdays.
so you just do boop, boop. This season is so good. At least the first episode. This season premiere is so good. They lean into the stylistic qualities of this so much more. It has this very wonderful 1970s aesthetic that they just really went for. Even just the way it's shot, even the way it's lit is so very 1970s, which is amazing. You got Ke Kwan there, who's just charming as all get out.
He owned it.
Of course he is.
Completely owned it. He was great.
So good. And I think, too, the wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff, I think because of him, probably even worked for you, I'm guessing.
It did. They got rid of the mumbo jumbo and they used a very simple Bill and Ted mechanic for time travel to make it all work. And so they won me over.
It's a very palatable view of time travel. Even if you're not a diehard time travel person, if you are a diehard time travel person, it's so fun and interesting and has the most basic rules that can have the most complex situations and ramifications. And that's what I really like, and I really hope they lean into that more. oh my God, this scene too.
Oh yeah, I love this.
Everything was just so good. Everything was so good, you guys. And I really think that if the episodes keep delivering, it is going to be that kind of WandaVision trajectory, right? Where it just gets bigger and bigger because of that word of mouth. And this is also why doing those weekly releases as opposed to a binge dump is so much better for shows like this, building that momentum.
You mentioned Ki Hu Kwan again. The whole thing when they employed the Bill and Ted kind of time travel mechanic, when Mobius is talking to Obi and saying, "Hey, have you ever done this?" "No." "Wait." "Yes."
Yeah.
Because Loki's in the past doing so. I mean, there's the way, I love the word you use, palatable. They made the time travel stuff palatable, and it made sense. It flowed, and it was just exceptional. Now, can they follow up on that? Because Disney Plus shows, both Marvel and Star Wars, have a tendency to start well. I thought She-Hulk started well. I thought Secret Invasion started well.
Obi-Wan.
I thought Obi-Wan started really well. Book of Boba Fett didn't start so well. But, I mean, they have a tendency to do that and then sometimes fall off a little bit. So we'll see what happens with Loki. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this, shall we? Jason Momoa, according to Variety, is in talks to play Lobo, which is something a lot of us fans have been speculating about, but maybe as early as in Superman Legacy. Now, okay, look, you guys will remember that we've got Aquaman 2 coming out. We all know Jason Momoa is not going to be Aquaman anymore. But it was about 4, 5, 6 months ago now, I can't even remember how long ago it was, that Jason Momoa posted that video on his social media, a video of him walking out of Warner Brothers offices looking like he just was a 14-year-old boy having sex for the first time. He looked real happy.
He seems a little young.
And he was walking out and he was literally pulling the nature boy. Woo! He was doing this whole thing. He was stoked. He had just come out of a meeting with James Gunn, Peter Safran, and David Zaslav. And he said, "Oh, we're just talking about the future and what we're doing." And like he was so excited. And it got everybody wondering, what's happening? Who's he going to be? A lot of people thought Lobo, because as you can see behind me here, look, this dude looks like he was born to play Lobo, but whatever, he would be a wonderful Lobo, but that was just us speculating, right? Well, not some Gus's gas station movie reviews .fart site. Variety has made it all a little bit more tangible when in a recent report, they mentioned this. Momoa may return not as Aquaman. Sources say the actor has engaged, it's already happening, has engaged in talks to play Lobo either in the 2025 reboot Superman Legacy, written and directed by James Gunn, or in a standalone film. Either way. You know, I was wondering the other day, we were talking about Superman Legacy, which is going to be the most important film that DC's put out. I'm not saying it's going to be the best, I'm saying it's the most important. Because they've never had a movie come out that they need to be great, like they need Superman Legacy to be great. And I've been wondering, are they going to go a little bit inside baseball and maybe have Brainiac? I don't know if they want to do Lex Luthor again as your primary villain right away. I mean, eventually you can't have Superman without Lex Luthor, but do you really want to come out of the gate with Lex Luthor? I mean, do you want to go... You know, there's a lot of different people in the pantheon of Superman villains in his rogues gallery, but you know, which one would be kind of tangible, get the audiences excited, not just the hardcore nerds, but like a lot of people excited. I wonder if Lobo could be the great antagonist, not villain, but antagonist of a Superman Legacy. And really having Jason Momoa, who was Aquaman. Now think about this for a second. Having Jason Momoa, who was Aquaman, now come into this movie as a completely different character makes a very strong statement to the audience. This is a new thing, right? Like that is a very tangible, strong message sending. This is a brand new thing by having Jason Momoa do that. Look, now obviously he doesn't sound certain in the Variety report about whether or not it will indeed be, I love that image, whether it will indeed be in Superman Legacy or a little bit later on, but this would explain Jason Momoa's video that he put out months ago. This would explain why he sounded so damn excited. And I'll tell you what, if this does indeed turn out to be factual, because this is the most concrete thing we've ever had, having Variety actually put print to paper and say, we've got our people telling us he's going to be Lobo. This is now actually real. I mean, this is something that can actually be happening here. And I got to tell you what, I love it. I've loved Jason Momoa. Like, I was aware of him in Stargate Atlantis. I loved him as the villain in that Bullet to the Head movie he did with Sylvester Stallone, where he actually played the bad guy. And I have been a big fan of his for a very, very long time. I think I thought he was the one redeemable thing about Fast X. So sign me up. I love this. And if it does indeed end up being Superman or Superman Legacy, I just got another reason to be very excited about this. Anyway, Chris, you read this. This is coming from Variety. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on this?
Oh, we've all been saying this for ages. The minute he walked out of the DC building, hooting and hollering, it was, he's going to be the main man. He's absolutely going to be the wolf. He's Lobo. That's it. That's it. Because it's his favorite character. And it's who he's always talked about. And it makes sense for him to play him. But it also makes sense, honestly, if you look at the trajectory of where DC's cinematic universe is going, to bring in Lobo. Because we're building up to a great movie called Lanterns. All right, so Lobo first gets on the scene in like 1983 in Omega Men 3. And in there, we finally get him introduced and we see him as this bounty hunter. About 12 years later, he squares off against Guy Gardner, who we know is in Superman Legacy.
Right.
And they end
Nathan Fillion's playing him.
Yeah. He is part of the reason why Guy Gardner goes back to being a hothead. Superman famously punches him and changes his personality. He hits him so hard.
I've done that to people.
Just get that frontal lobe, you know? Lobo hits him again, crashes into him, and Guy Gardner's like, I'm back. And they are enemies for a while, but they tussle all the time. They end up working together and become buddies, especially when Guy Gardner becomes warrior. And, you know, he has all this stuff with the Red Lanterns and everything. So I feel like there's this really cool buildup you can do with a character like Lobo, especially if your whole thrust for your first phase is gods and monsters.
Right.
There's a lot you can do there with super-powered alien beings who do have godlike powers and how they wield them. I mean, Lobo does all kinds of nutso-butso stuff throughout DC. He is a bounty hunter. I believe at one point he parades himself around as a prophet, if I'm not mistaken. He's a wild character who's a really fun anti-hero and has one of the best Christmas comics I have ever read in my freaking life. So I think this is such a fun addition when you also look at things like how the Authority is going to be part of their first lineup. We're doing a lot of stories that seem to talk about what is a hero. And starting off with Superman Legacy, that makes sense. We have our iconic cookie cutter Boy Scout hero. What does it mean to be him? Okay, what does it mean to be someone like Lobo? What does it mean to be a Green Lantern? What does it mean to be somebody like the Authority who has so much power that they are judge, jury, and executioner? Then we go all the way down to the Paradise Lost with Themyscira. How do we have a perfect society with these godlike women? This is so much fun stuff to explore, and he's the kind of weird, fun character who can move in and out of it, take the Mickey out of it, but also provide a really cool perspective on that godlike persona, and if you have no moral compass, how you move forward with it.
There's two things to point out. One, the lantern thing is going to be, I know you just misspoke, but just so we don't confuse anybody, that's going to be a show.
A show, yeah.
Second thing, for a lot of people who don't know much about Lobo. I mean, yeah, you look at him, he looks like a really cool guy. Lobo is very, very powerful.
So powerful. Like,
he's a guy who goes toe-to-toe with Superman. Like, he's an extremely powerful character. Well, I mean, if you're going to fight a Green Lantern, you got to have, he's a very dangerous, very formidable character. And that's why I'm thinking, because that's always a big problem when you're trying to make a Superman movie. Mm-hmm. What does Superman fight? And that's why everybody just goes to Brainiac immediately, or a couple of these things. Lobo would be a really great antagonist for something. Again, I don't know if that's the way they're going to go, but to see our new Superman, and especially after seeing Jason Momoa in Fast X, and thinking some of those, not all of them, but some of those personality quirks, bringing that into a Lobo, oh my God, it would be delicious.
Think about the nail polish scene, but think about if you're that and as powerful as Superman. And if you're a bounty hunter, you're going to hold Superman's family hostage. You're going to kill and maim people left and right, and you're going to get your nails did.
And it's going to look great while you're doing it.
So good.
I there's so much upside. Again, and hey, listen, it may not be for Superman Legacy. Maybe it's going to be for something else. But again, like Chris said, we have all speculated this for a very long time. But this is the first real tangible thing that made it This is the first thing that makes it look like this is actually could be real. And I think it would be fantastic. And I can't think of anything else that would make Jason Momoa that excited finding out I'm not going to be Aquaman anymore, but I am going to be this. It just makes so much sense. Anyway, guys, what do you think about this whole thing? Indeed, let us know. All right, guys. With that all down, we are now going to move over and start taking questions from you guys. But before we do, we're going to take just a quick second here and thank another sponsor of today's episode, my mobile service provider, and they should absolutely be yours, the good friends over at Mint Mobile. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Mint Mobile. Signing your life away to a big wireless provider is kind of like being trapped on a roller coaster from hell. Sure, it looks like fun at first. They probably even threw in a free phone, but now you can't get off. Month after month of insane bills and unexpected thrills, like overages and surprise fees. If that sounds like your current big wireless plan, it's time to get off the ride with Mint Mobile. For a limited time, wireless plans from Mint Mobile are just $15 a month. That's unlimited talk, text, and data for just $15 a month. You guys know before I came to Mint Mobile, I was paying triple what I am paying now on the standard big wireless plan, and I will never go back. All plans come with unlimited talk, text, and high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. To get your new unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped right to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Mint Mobile for sponsoring the John Campea YouTube channel. All right, that all down, guys. Let's get over and start taking your questions, shall we? We're going to start off with those of you who are watching live and sent in some super chats. Let's do that first. What do we got?
Starting with James there.
From James Wheeler, sending in a $20 super chat.
Thank you, James.
Thanks, James. Hello, everyone. Wow, my Patriots stink this year. At least the Bruins start tomorrow night.
Yeah, that is hockey, Chris.
Thank you.
That is the...
Oh, I got to show my shirt.
Oh, yes. Chris has a...
John got me a sports ball shirt. It's
Go
perfect.
sports.
I'm super
Move
worried
the
to say I'm
thing
super
to
worked
the
up
other
'cause I
thing.
did the stuff.
Yay.
Yes, God's chosen sport. On the 8th day, he created hockey. The real
Why do angels
sport
have wings then?
begins today. So very, very excited about that. Yeah, man, listen, what are you gonna say? The Patriots stink. The Patriots stink. There have been a lot of people who've been waiting like decades to be able to say that, but it's here. It's finally happened. The Patriots stink. It's time for them to move on, find a new quarterback, look forward to the draft. It is what it is. All right, what's next?
But, okay, of course, this thing just bumped.
Oh.
Let's see, who do we go? James Wheeler. There we go.
From South Texas Shark, Chris. Hey, any recommendation of anime that you dub? Oh, my favorite one that I ever did was a show called Ungo. It is a detective series where the detective is aided by a girl who can turn into a demon and make people confess their sins. And I am the daughter of a wealthy rival.
So here's a question for you, because I think that was an interesting question. Do you find that a lot of stuff that you do is the original voiceover, or do you do a lot of stuff where it was in another language first and you're doing the dub? Does that happen a lot?
I usually do dub. So
Really?
commercially, it's always me first. But most of my video games and my animation background have all been dubs. My agent Mike is working so hard to get me to be the original voice for someone else. But usually, yeah, I just got a dub audition while we were on air here. So usually I do the voice for Japanese or Korean shows.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
From Zach, I don't know much about Lobo. Haven't seen anything from DC since The Dark Knight.
Wow.
I know Lobo is an anti-hero villain. Do you think he'll become a hero over the course of multiple movies like Bucky?
I think, to put it into a comparison with something else that DC did, I could see them. Now remember, this is all coming from those of us who have not seen a single frame of what Jason Momoa's Lobo would be. Okay, so this could all go up in smoke the first time we see him, but I could theoretically see them, comparison's sake, doing what they tried to do with Black Adam. Like, to try to set him up as, oh, this big threat to the universe. As Pierce Brosnan says, you have the power to destroy this world or to be its savior, or something like that, right? I could see them maybe taking something like that approach, but it could be that he just literally shows up. There's a bounty on Superman's head. Somebody wants the last Kryptonian. Maybe he's working for Brainiac. I don't know. And he's not an evil guy. He's amoral. You know, he's just like, hey, look, I got nothing against you, but I got a contract to take you in, dead or alive, my friend. So buckle up. And then maybe developing some kind of moral compass later. I don't know. Could you see them doing that direction?
I think he's going to be a hired hand for a very long time. Maybe have a kind of Jack Sparrow presence in the DCU of just, listen, I'm out for my own best interests. And then maybe over time he starts to develop friendships and trust people. In the comics, too, he has a lot of just kind of tenuous, non-trusting friendships. Like I mentioned, Guy Gardner, he and Etrigan become kind of buddies because of their love of maiming shit. So there's a lot of fun you can have there, too. So I'm sure they'll kind of work him into it more, especially with somebody with the star power of Momoa, if that's who he's playing.
All right, what's next?
From the Daily Prophet, random question, what's everyone's favorite NBA team?
Chris.
The Houston Rockets, because I'm from there and I know that team exists.
Say, you know that their name is the Rockets.
I know that they're the
Rockets. I mean, right now, because I'll have to say the Toronto Raptors, but I live in LA right now, and LeBron, who is simply one of the greatest players to ever live, is playing on them right now. So I'm cheering for the Lakers. But my all-time favorite team, not always my favorite team at any given moment, but all time my favorite team is the Boston Celtics. Because they're the team that when I was a kid that I started watching. This was back in the Larry Bird, Dennis Johnson, Danny Ainge, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish era, and back in the the Showtime era with Magic's Lakers and stuff like that too. So the Celtics are my all-time favorite team. Ray, yours is obviously the Lakers.
Yeah, and the Grizzlies.
And the Grizz.
Yeah.
You got one, Jonathan? You're not really a basketball guy.
It's my second favorite, like, to watch. I don't watch a lot, but born and raised LA, so Lakers.
All right, there you go. All right, what's next?
From Isaac Cushman, Chris, by chance, have you seen the Fraggle Rock reboot on Apple TV? I know it's not really the kind of show to be brought up here, but as a fan of the original, I was shocked at how good it was. Isaac, always bring up Muppet things on this show with me. Come on, it's exactly the place. I have seen it. I adore it. I got very nervous in the first episode when they opened up with a new song, and then when they ended with the OG theme song, I was thrilled.
Wait, they opened up with something other than
they did something else.
Fraggle Rock.
Yeah, and I was like, what fresh hell is this? And then when they sang, Cash Fears Away at the end, I was like, okay, no notes. It's perfect.
Okay, 2 questions.
Yes.
1, is the Great Trash Heap in it?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Still there.
And how big is her bosom in this one? Because I just remember as a kid going, what the hell is that?
I think she's still got some tiggles. I can't remember.
Tiggles.
Tiggle bitties.
All right, what's next?
A lot of trash. From Andy. Not that they will, but I hope Inside Out 2 somehow brings back Bing Bong just so they can kill him off again. I have no soul, but that bring me joy. How dare you?
I was just telling Chris how I have that fade away pop of his where he's like clear.
Oh yeah, I remember. I remember
like,
the first
it brings
time I
me
saw
such
that
joy.
I remember the first time I saw that pop. I'm like,
Oh, that's cold.
oh, Bing Bong.
If there's not justice for Bing Bong in this movie, I will riot.
I've talked about how at the end, like there
Bing
wasn't a dry eye in the also the Bing Bong thing, not a dry eye in the entire.
I will burn this place to the ground if they do something else to Bing Bong.
All right, what's next?
From Max Newmark. If Lobo is in Superman Legacy, it would be like the animated Superman film Superman Man of Tomorrow, which Lobo is in. Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Well, I don't think just because there have been a lot of characters in various Superman cartoon stuff. That doesn't mean that if they do a live action thing, it will be like that. Probably at all. But I mean, there might be some inspiration taken from there. I generally stay away from all of Marvel and DC's animated stuff, generally speaking. I love animation. I just don't think Marvel or DC particularly does animation well. There are exceptions. So don't at me. I just think for the most part that they don't do a very good job. All right, what's next?
From Chris Herman, I think I know who pruned Loki. Mephisto.
It's got to be everything's Mephisto. Mm-hmm. Guys, do you guys remember though? Like when WandaVision was out? Like everything was Mephisto. It was crazy.
I still am so mad that wasn't there a goat in She-Hulk? I was like, that has to be Mephisto.
Because she made
there was a goat.
because what's her name? She made a pact with a demon.
Yeah.
Right.
And they never said who it was.
Yeah.
And it was
like,
Mephisto.
that's Mephisto. Right
that could have been like as a joke.
Yeah, I hope so.
By the way, as bad as She-Hulk was, there were a couple of very redeeming things. I talked about this on open mic yesterday, but and everybody knows I hated She-Hulk. I mean, it's a comedy that wasn't funny, but there were a couple of things that I will stand by. Number one, She-Hulk twerking. I don't care what any of the fuck anybody else says. That almost made me spit my soda out. I laughed so hard. And if you don't know that that scene is probably the most true to the comic book scene that entire show had, then you don't know nothing about She-Hulk, because that was completely in the spirit of the comic book. And I thought it was hilarious. Second, Daredevil doing the walk of shame is one of the funniest things I've ever seen on TV.
Oh, it's perfect.
I almost died laughing so hard at that, and especially with, he had his shoes hanging over his shoulder at the same time. I'm like, oh my God. If you don't know what the walk of shame is, you never went to college, because that was happening all the time. Just look out on campus every morning and you'll see walk of shames going all over the place.
Or you had very high standards.
The third thing, though, was whatever the hell her name was.
Madison with a Y.
Madison with a Y. Listen, I'm like everybody else. When Madison with a Y first showed up, I thought, come on, this is such a stereotype, one-dimensional, stupid thing. By the last episode, I'm like, I would watch a Wong Madison series on their own. Yes! I would totally watch the hell out of that show.
Madison and Wongers.
Oh my God, I would watch
love
that
them.
show.
Also, though, can we just talk about real quick how it's so possible for Sacha Baron Cohen to be Dr. Doom?
Oh, wait, hold the phone.
Yeah.
Wait.
Why? Like, that's what I'm saying with why are we all going to Mephisto when we know there's a Fantastic Four movie coming out?
Doom is Mephisto.
It's all interconnected. But I think he'd be a really great Dr. Doom. I know that's X actor, X role, but we're talking about him. So, like.
Well, you know, yesterday, Matt Shackman, we talked about a quote that Matt Shackman basically confirmed that they've already cast Fantastic Four. He says, there's just a writer's strike. We can't announce anything, but I'm excited to let you guys know everything, right? Would they use an Ironheart show to introduce a character like Dr. Doom, though? Because listen, I've never even considered it, but you mentioning Sacha Baron Cohen as Doom.
I think it would get people more excited about Ironheart.
It certainly would.
I think it's.
But would it devalue Dr. Doom?
I don't think so. Especially right now, they're crediting him as Mr. Mystery Man, right? Because we talked about this with the Wakanda film, right? Wouldn't it be great if we saw Dr. Doom on like a UN panel?
Right.
Of just talking about his country and trying to kind of square off with, other countries being like, I think you had the right idea of keeping your technology for yourself. I think we should form an alliance. I would have loved something like that. I think it would make sense for someone like Dr. Doom if we introduce him as a scientist of, I'm so interested in your tech here. I think there's a lot of value here, and trying to start things off that way.
Oh, all right. Okay. We're going to have to keep our eyes open for that too now. All right. What's next?
From Aiden Foley. Oh, wait, sorry. Andy has one at the bottom here. Andy, Rufus may have gotten his ween exploded on Gen V. I say fuck on here. I don't know why I didn't say dick. Gen V, but he'll be all right. He'll just grow another one. After all, he's God.
Oh,
I'd have to know the reference.
Because he's the actor is from Supernatural, where his character Jack ends up being God at the end. Yes.
Oh, okay.
By the way, you'd think with all the stuff that has happened in the world of The Boys, there'd be nothing less left to shock me when they do something. Cocksplosion was definitely one of those things.
Wow, something to look forward to in my viewings.
Oh no, you're gonna love it because dude has it coming. But anyway, well,
ding 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 ding.
No pun intended.
Just, man, these guys really just like to mess up penises.
There was no pun intended with that whatsoever. Anyway, before I lose it, let's move on, shall we? What is next?
From Aiden Foley. As someone who's been a fan of Five Nights at Freddy's since 12 and now 21, it truly breaks my heart to see how much Universal apparently hates this movie. Very sad.
And you know what? Look, let me give this disclaimer. Universal is making this look bad, but it only looks bad until we see it, right? Let's keep that in mind. It looks bad, yes, and that is all Universal's fault. But as of right now, since none of us have seen it, and if anybody has, they're not allowed to talk about it, it only looks bad right now. Who knows? Maybe we'll see it and we'll enjoy it.
It's a whole tree falls in a forest, no one's around to hear it.
Yeah.
If no one sees the movie, is it really bad?
If a tree falls in the forest and you're not allowed to tell people what you heard, did it make a sound?
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
It'll be like Gen V. It's going to blow your dick off. From King Tannic. Knowing the games, I assume the creator had a play in the streaming drop review delay. He has been very secretive with release of the games.
What are we talking about?
With Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh, okay. First of all, the creator of the game would have absolutely zero say. The creator of the game would have zero say. I also doubt the creator of the game had a vision where his movie got made, his game got made into a movie that would be dropped on streaming on the exact same day. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Unless your name, I don't know, is Steven Spielberg, but even Aaron Sorkin at the end of the day doesn't get a say how a distributor will distribute their movie.
They bought those rights.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunately, they just simply get zero say in that. So I don't think so. But hey, man, King Tantic, bonus points to you for being optimistic. Let's try to stay positive. I'm having a very hard time doing that with this movie, but who knows? All right, what's next?
Another one from King Tannic. He probably has an overwhelming amount of control in every aspect of the film, so this might be his attempt to mimic the game's release, just a thought. So not so much.
Again, no, not so much. They will never give like release strategy or stuff like that to anybody. He might have had a lot of control over what went into the movie. Mm-hmm. He might have had a lot of say into how the movie was made, but they get zero say on how the distributor distributes it. Yeah. I mean,
look at everything that Alan Moore has written that's been adapted. He's had no say in that, which is why he famously now is just like, donate my money to different charity groups, please. Like, I don't need to be part of this.
Mm. All right, what's next?
From Thomas Bombadil. Thomas Bombadil. Hi, team. Ridley Scott says he's working on a 4-hour cut of Napoleon for Apple TV. I personally can't wait, but how do you feel about these long epics, right?
Right?
Sounds like he's going to be taking 8 attempts at watching it.
Are you guys really waiting for my answer?
Okay, look.
He's going to split it into 8 parts.
I'll say this. I don't mind a long epic. Listen, I don't care if Napoleon is 90 minutes. I don't care if it's 180 minutes. It's every movie has a runtime that's right for it. Longer does not equal better. Shorter does not equal better. I've seen movies that have been 3 hours and thought that could have been a little bit longer. I've seen movies that have been 95 minutes and thought that movie needed to shave out about 10 minutes to get the pacing better. I mean, every movie is different. Here's what I don't like. I don't like there being different versions of a movie. There should be one definitive version of a movie. Now, I'm not talking about bonus features on Blu-rays or stuff like that. That's all fun. But I mean, there should be one definitive version of the movie. That if you and I talk next year about Napoleon, that we've seen the same movie. And that's kind of my thing. Now, I'm not talking about, a year later, 2 years later, Peter Jackson putting out a new DVD set of Lord of the Rings that had all the extra stuff in it. Okay. But I mean,
because that was perfect.
Why make 2 different versions of the movie? Make one version of the movie. What is the movie? It's either this or it's that. Otherwise, spend your time making something else. And listen, I know there are people that feel differently. There are people who would like to see 18 versions of every movie, and that's fine. It's all a matter of preference. But for me, I just don't like the idea of having 2 different versions of a movie. All right. Let's get over to our YouTube channel members who've sent us some questions. What do we got up here?
From Casinema96, you've mentioned before that studies show that when a remake happens, rental sales for the original spike. Can you tell us where to find them? I'd Google them, but I'm not sure exactly what to search for.
Are you searching for the originals?
I guess that proof of sale.
This was something, I think it was John Schnepp and I talked about this back in the AMC days. And I think it was around the time, and there was this big report, I think it was the Hollywood Reporter. It was the first time John and I talked about that. We read over the article and we talked about it on the show and stuff like that. I can't remember exactly where it was, but yeah, listen, it showed that when a remake comes out, a lot of people fear what's going to happen to the original. Well, what happens is more attention is drawn to the original than had ever been before. You know how many people knew about Infernal Affairs before Martin Scorsese made The Departed? Hell of a lot less people than do now. And I remember at that time looking at those charts, like the numbers were coming out about Infernal Affairs. Like all these people were now watching Infernal Affairs for the first time ever because Martin Scorsese made The Departed. There's always been this thing that if somebody makes a remake, people have acted like a thief is going to break into their house in the middle of the night, steal their original copies of those movies, and have them disappear. It doesn't happen. It's not what happens. Remakes never sully or cast a bad light on originals. All they ever do is amplify them, and they're good. All right, what's next?
From Spying Mentor 087, thoughts on the new Color Purple trailer?
I just got the notification this morning when I was driving into the office that there was a new trailer for it. So I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. I do know I loved what they showed us at CinemaCon back in April. I'm suddenly very excited for this movie. Well, suddenly as of April. So I haven't seen the new trailer yet, but I will later today, and we'll probably talk about it tomorrow. All right, what's next?
From Jai CSC, do things like credits and production logos need to go in a particular order, or do they follow loose guidelines?
It's probably something contractual. I think for the most part, there's a standard thing that goes, but just like how some actors will literally negotiate where on a poster their name will go or what order, or, sometimes a thing will show starring so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so, and so-and-so. Some actors will demand to have what's called a solo screen, which is just black screen and only their name, an individual shot. So maybe that might go into it as well, but otherwise it seems like when I watch this stuff, it looks pretty standard. So I would guess it's a really good question, but I think it's probably a standard thing.
I was going to say, I need to speak to someone much more highfalutin to know about that.
All I know is that the couple of times I've made movies, I've had no rhyme or reason to order I put things in credits. So stuff like that. So I'm going to guess production company first, distribution company second, and then on from there. All right. Good question. What's next?
From Amin, what's your insider information or update on the SAG strike? What's the likelihood it gets resolved before November?
It's looking good. I mean, I thought it was looking good when they extended the deadline originally, and here we are. But I don't know. What are you hearing?
So I know an exec over at Disney, and I know a certain superhero production wants to go back into production within the next 2 weeks.
Ooh.
So that is giving me a lot of confidence when we went and got drinks that this should be ending soon. What we're doing right now, Jonathan and I were talking about this before the show started too, is SAG and the AMPTP are doing this kind of every other day thing where it's, hey, let's meet, then we're going to go work internally on our own. Hey, let's meet, then we're going to go back to the table.
Which I think is a great process.
It seems really, really great.
I think they learned that from I think they got burnt out on the WGA
exactly.
Just night after night after night.
Yeah, so I think that process coupled with hearing that from at least the suit side of things gives me a lot of hope that we are circling the drain on this and that we are going to come to an agreement that works for everyone for the next 3 years. But then we're going to go right into a video game strike, potentially.
All right, what's next?
From Jay Superboy. Hey, John, my mom just watched Fast X and loved Jason Momoa in it. She said he would have been a great Joker, which surprised me. And speaking of Batman villains, when is that Penguin series coming out? Keep it filthy.
Well, I don't know that they actually finished production before.
Yeah, I think it's on pause. So.
Yeah, I think actually the writer's strike put it on pause. And so who knows when the Penguin series is going to come out. I mean, I look, I'm very excited about that. That was the big surprise for me of the Batman movie was Colin Farrell's Cobblepot. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah. When he's been very present on the New York picket line.
Yeah.
So he's been doing that as well right now.
All right. What's next?
From CJ Rebirth, what are your guys' thoughts on Princess and the Frog? It's in my top 10 of Disney's animated movies. I love the music, the firefly named Ray, and it makes me want to go to New Orleans one day.
I liked Princess and the Frog.
It's cute.
I don't know if it's in my... This is more of a testimony for how many great animated films Disney has put out. So I don't know that it's in my top 10, but it was certainly a worthy addition to the lineup. I liked it. All right, what's next?
From Fanjecture, is it surprising Variety is suggesting that WB isn't submitting I'm Just Ken for Oscar consideration? Rules are you can only nominate 3, and they predict it won't make the cut.
I did not see that. I did not see that article, but man, that would surprise me. There's only one song I think of when I think of the Barbie movie, and that's I'm Just Ken. That's the song I think about. Like, if we don't get at the Academy Awards this year, Jack Black and Ryan Gosling coming out on stage together and doing a medley of Peaches and I'm Just Ken, that's a missed opportunity.
This is all I want now.
I mean, that would be
This is gore all over. I'm going to be so disappointed.
I mean, I know someone who's in the decision making of that stuff, so
I mean,
I should have a conversation with her.
How would you not nominate I'm Just Ken?
It's
what are you
so
going to nominate
iconic.
over that? Like,
Oh, well,
where
Billie
I see love, she sees a friend.
I was going to say Billie Eilish's song from it is probably what they're going to go for.
Which one was that again?
Oh, it's the really beautiful song that plays over the montage of actual footage of everyone.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, which is lovely and wonderful and moving.
But it's not what we remember.
Exactly.
Do you necessarily have to have it be a nominated song in order to perform it, like as an opening act?
No.
You could do it as
So
an
you
opening
could
act.
You can do
like
it
that.
anyway.
Yeah.
But it'd be so much better
Yeah.
to actually have it because I'm just Ken and I'm enough and I'm great at doing stuff. That's one of the greatest lyrics ever written.
It's so good.
Is it?
And I'm great at doing stuff. Okay, what's next?
Yeah.
From Josef Vargas. They announced Deadpool 3 will still set for a May 2024 release.
Yeah.
Do you feel the quality will suffer with the writers and actors strike and they'll be in a huge rush to make the deadline? Love the show.
Not necessarily. It's a possibility that it could, but here's the thing. The movie was written, right? The movie was already done. The movie was written. Then they already were well into production. Now, here's the thing. With the writers on strike, that doesn't mean other work can't get done. There's a lot of post-production work that normally would take like 8 months to a year after finishing, but they could just be working on that now. They could be doing a lot of pre-production stuff on upcoming things. So it could very well be that this isn't going to make them miss a beat. The possibility exists. But yeah, I want to address one thing here in the live chat. Our viewer Edward High is saying, no, John, those songs aren't Oscar worthy. Here's what I would say to that, Edward, my fellow film loving friend, is, well, what the fuck is this category for? This isn't the Grammys. Like, to me, a song Oscar should be a piece of music that substantially adds to the fabric of the movie, is integrated with the movie, has a part to play in the movie, and in and of itself enhances the movie. Peaches is such an integral song, an integral moment of that entire movie. It is a song in the movie that actually works within the fabric of the movie and elevates the movie. It's not just, see, here's one of the big problems with the whole best song thing at the Oscars. It's always this bullshit random song that just plays over the end credits. That it's literally a song that has zero to do with the movie. Nothing to do with the movie. It just plays over the credits at the end. And I say that even about one of my all-time favorite movie songs, Annie Lennox's Into the West from Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. One of the greatest songs in a movie ever. Yes, but see, even in that one, they're doing all the art, and it's just, I would suggest that the credits at the end of Return of the King are actually part of the movie experience in that thing. But that being said, normally it's some rando song that had nothing to do with the movie that just plays in the credits. These are songs that are actually functional parts of the movie and some of the most memorable parts of the movies. And these are, after all, the movie awards, right? Shouldn't it be something that contributes, I don't know, to the movie? I don't know. That's just how I say. Now, are these songs Grammy worthy? I agree with you. No. Peaches is not a Grammy winning song. I'm Just Ken is not a Grammy considered song. But as their role as a piece of a movie, are they Oscar contender? I would argue yes. I would personally argue yes. But that's just me. Anyway, thanks for giving your point of view on it though, man. All right, what's next?
From Darylist. Any word on the Star Wars Acolyte show?
Everything I've ever heard is just that it's great. But that's about it. I mean, I just heard of this. So I've heard the action is like, it's going to be some of the best action we've ever seen in a Star Wars property, which I don't find terribly hard to believe. I'm very, very excited about the show, but as anything else, we'll see. All right. Last question of the day. What's next?
From the Everything Entertainment. Was shocked getting my ticket for the Marvels this morning. Odd for an MCU movie. No site downtime, and almost all the seats for the 3 p.m. showing were still available an hour after going on sale. The problems with the MCU are really starting to show.
Well, first of all, number one, it's only been I could count on just a couple of fingers how many times a Marvel movie has caused ticketing problems for sites. It actually has not happened often. It happened with Spider-Man No Way Home. It happened with Endgame. It happened with Infinity War. But outside of that, really no, there really hasn't been these sorts of things like your Doctor Stranges, your Thors, your Black Widows, your whatever. These movies do not normally cause ticketing problems. Also, the movie comes out in when? November
11th?
Yeah. This is a movie that's still like 2 months away. Well, it's still over a month away. And I'll be honest with you, listen, I work in the entertainment business. I didn't know the tickets were on sale already. So look, am I saying that the Marvels is going to make $200 million opening weekend? No. I'm not saying that at all. I have no idea how well or badly it's going to do. What I will say though, is the fact that it didn't cause ticketing crashes and that a 3:00 in the afternoon movie still has seats available when the movie is still a month away. I didn't even know the tickets were on sale yet. So I'm going to guarantee you there's a hell of a lot of the general movie going audience that don't know the tickets are on sale yet. I don't think that's an issue. I don't yet. Let's talk 2 or 3 days before the movie comes out and it could be a totally different story. But for now, I don't think that's an issue at all. All right, guys. And that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here and making this little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those topics, whether it was super chats or you're one of our great supportive channel members. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you support our channel while you do it. And all of us involved with the show here, thank you guys so much for your support. Don't forget to join us again tomorrow. We look forward to seeing you guys back here. So I want to thank Ray Ora.
Bye-bye.
Jonathan Voico.
See ya.
Chris Carr.
Bye.
My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.